Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, David Memmoli, who's here to share with us his course and books, Starting Your Own Business. So why do so many businesses fail before they even begin? Well, today's guest is here to share with us how to overcome just that. After 30 years in the healthcare industry, David Memmoli recognized that the system wasn't going to change and that the government officials weren't going to do anything about it. He realized it was up to the everyday citizen, such as himself, to introduce a new way to engage in business. After working to build his own practice, he had every possible horror story happen. What he realized is the current business industry doesn't reward honesty, integrity, or decency. Realizing there must be another way, David began writing all the things that happened to him and how someone could prepare and spare themselves the same mistakes he made. What grew from that endeavor is a 2-textbook series called Starting Your Own Business. Its purpose is to not only be a roadmap for starting your own business, but a new philosophy of cooperation and collaboration in business and industry. So welcome to the show, David Memmoli.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you for having me.
Well, my goodness, what a great honor it is to have you here and to talk about these books. Can you please tell us about your experience in setting up your business?
Yes, I am a nurse practitioner for the past 20 years and have been in healthcare since I was a teenager, so over 30 years now. And just before the COVID pandemic hit, I was setting up my own practice, and basically we had everything ready, and I just needed some working capital in order to get my uh be able to pay my staff um until the insurance reimbursements started coming in. And so basically what happened was the loan officer said, "Wait, you're not a doctor?" I said, "No, I'm a nurse practitioner." He says, "I don't understand how you can do this if you're not a doctor." And basically, because he didn't understand that, didn't give us the loan, and there was just a domino effect after that. And so what I realized was you can do everything right, but the industry, the system, can often work against you. And this course is designed to be able to set things up for you, knowing the obstacles that the industry puts against you, where you don't really need the industry and you can set things up for yourself to succeed without them.
That just floors me that that was the experience you had. And I'm sure many people run into that. So, who is starting your own business for?
Well, it's for everyone, especially if you're thinking about starting your own business and don't know where to start. That was always the big challenge for me, even when I was researching and double checking with people and speaking with council members and state officials. There was always something that I didn't know. One great example is this took place in Las Vegas in Nevada, and so I made sure I had a state license, and then I found out I needed a city license specifically for the city of Las Vegas. But only by chance, and gratefully so, I found out, well, if it's a medical practice, here's an exception. You have to have a special medical practice license for the city of Las Vegas. And nobody offered that. Nobody told me that. I found out by chance. And I could have opened up my practice and been in violation of the law because nobody told me, hey, you also need this license.
Isn't that usually how it goes? And so, while you're in the healthcare industry, is this whole system good for people who are maybe setting up a mom and pop shop or some other kind of business?
Absolutely. And that's really what happens when the practice fell apart and I was really just writing to try and process everything that happened and thought, maybe I could just write a few things down that might help somebody else from having to make the same mistakes that I ended up making. Um, I've realized early on that these concepts have nothing to do with healthcare. These are universal business concepts, these are universal business issues. And so I designed the course to be applied to any type of business.
There are so many people I know who have said, "Oh, I'm researching how to start my own business and it's been a year or it's been 3 years." Whatever that time limit is. I've actually come across somebody just recently who told me that she's in college and she is actually looking at how she can start her own business, has been researching that. So what will people who sign up for starting your own business course learn?
Well, truthfully, everything. This is not a workshop. This is not a 10-point business success plan. These are two academic level textbooks comprising 45 chapters. There's over 1,500 pages worth of information. I tried to be as detailed as possible to give as much information as possible because, if you take real estate, for example, anybody can tell you, hey, you need the right location, hey, you need to have the right real estate agent. These things are important, but they're not helpful. How do you know what the right location is? What do you look for in the location to know it's the right location? How do you know who the right real estate agent is? How do you vet somebody? These are things that these you can go on the internet and find anything, but they never give you the details of how and what to look for, the red flags. They just give you these, talking points and, accept the fact that you clicked on their article um, to give them their analytics.
As you were building your start your own business concept here, were you seeing that most businesses are wanting to make shifts and changes and really pivot away from that old type of paradigm?
I think it's us who want to make the shift. I think, speaking as an American, when I talk to people, everyone is exhausted by the extremism. Everybody is exhausted by these news headlines that are just polarizing everyone who is just trying to say the extreme is what is normal. And I just find that most of us don't feel that way. And, as both someone working in his own business as well as an academic in the field of organizational psychology, it's you recognize that these the corporate um, focus on profit and revenue is no longer the focus of the everyday person. The everyday person is now working, two jobs just to be able to pay the rent, let alone try and have a quality of life and perhaps go back to school, get some other training, even just take a vacation. There is this expense. I believe I do forget his name. There was this Australian real estate agent who said not so long ago that um, we need like a 50% unemployment rate in order to remind employees of their place and their role in the business world. And I just don't understand that. There is enough to go around. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's plenty to go around. There's always room for someone else to step in. And, I do believe capitalism works. I think it is a healthy form of commerce. Unfortunately, we have, extremists at the top, corporate psychopaths who, um, are focused on maximizing the profit and they don't care who they hurt down below. So, it's the frontline employee, it's all of us who are really just tired of the system. And I think everybody wants something different. They just don't know where to look. And my hope is that starting your own business can really help give people access to this is how you can do it yourself. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not a 10 point, this is how you do it. It's a journey. And again, 45 chapters, it's going to take you several months just to get through the course. So, yeah, if that helps give some context.
It does. And thank you for sharing that. I think it's so important to invest that time in learning how to develop your business successfully because if you don't have a strong foundation, how are you going to move forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so what are some of the most overlooked but absolutely critical steps that new business owners often miss?
In my experience and from talking with other business owners, there is a lack of preparation, and you can classify that as impatience or frustration and just wanting to see the money. Um, it is a process where you really need to recognize this is not going to happen overnight. I don't care what any other book is going to tell you, what they're going to promise you. This takes years to build. You need to have the right financial structure. Because I'll tell you one thing about human behavior. Once you start working for yourself, it's incredibly difficult to go back and work for somebody else. So you want to be sure that when you are ready to go out on your own, you are set and you are not going to be unprepared for the rocks in the road that might thwart you. And now you're like, oh, I have to go back and get a job because, I ran out of funds or it didn't, take off as quickly as I needed and so forth. Um, so you really need to recognize it's not a quick fix. It's going to take time. And most of the business owners I've spoken to have said that they didn't realize how much it was going to cost. They did some numbers on paper and it often ended up two, three, sometimes four times as much. Certainly took so much longer than they expected it to. Um, and you really just need to recognize that this is something you are doing for the long game. It's not something you can just. It's not a video that's going to go viral. Let's say it's something you are trying to create stability and permanency for yourself and your loved ones, so that you can free yourself from the daily grind and have a quality of life for the ones you love, because that's what it's about. Nobody wants to retire and say, okay, this was it. I just worked 5 6 hours a 5 6 days a week for the past 50 years, and this is it. You want to have experienced life. There's got to be more to it.
Do you think that there's a perception out there that people feel that I'll start my own business and then I'll just have all this money coming in and don't really have to work and it's just going to be this flow of influx of money?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's again, it's a process that requires a great deal of learning. Especially in the beginning, I emphasize really trying to learn every aspect of the build of your business. Even myself, I left myself to trust certain people to do a job, and what you realize is no one is going to work as hard for you as you are going to work for yourself. And so you find, that things are left undone or, um, this person was not the right fit for the role. And you don't know that unless you know that aspect of the business. And so, yes, I certainly say, I'm not a computer person. I certainly need to hire a computer specialist to do websites and so forth, to put the book, upload the book onto the website as well. But I also understood what was happening. I always had the login information. I always saw what the engineer was doing. So you really have to be invested in the beginning. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to put this up and then I'm just going to be on the yacht." Give me a call. You really have to invest that, especially in the beginning. It's going to be all of your free time. It's going to be relentless. Things are going to go wrong. Things are going to cost more than you thought. and it's going to take a long time. But the reward when it's over is certainly going to be worth the journey. So anybody who's promising you, some quick fix, oh, in 30 days you'll make this much money and stuff, it's just not real. It's just not real.
That's usually a bright red flag to let people
Right.
know not to go that way. Well,
Exactly.
what advice would you give our listeners who have maybe tried their own business and been burnt, but are still dreaming of running their own business? What advice would you give them?
It 100% don't give up. If it is your dream, if it is what you feel you are meant for, then persistence is the only answer. The question, and it's perfectly okay to get frustrated and take a break and say it's unfair. Oftentimes it is unfair. You do all the right things, and then the industry is really what causes you not to be successful because they don't want the competition. Um, but in the end, if it is what you believe you are supposed to do, then don't give up, because there's always another opportunity. I'm still working to try and get this message out. I think it's important that we change the culture of business and how business is done. So it's no longer a few at the top that are all cutthroat, that it is the masses at the bottom who are all sharing in service to each other. Um, so don't give up. That's the message. If you believe it, then just keep going.
The course that you offer with the books and workbooks is so empowering. I know when I started my own business, I had to go and figure everything out. Is this information good for people who are either solo entrepreneurs, small, medium, or large businesses?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's interesting that you say, what you were looking for when you started your business, because this is absolutely the course that I wish I had when I first started. Because what you learn very quickly is no one is going to help you, but when you are successful, everybody's going to want a piece of the pie. So I'm sure you've had a similar experience yourself as well. But it's definitely for everyone. And especially if you don't know where to start. It's another really, really strong um, opportunity for those who are like, I want to start my own business. I don't even know where to begin, and even somebody who has started their business, now you need to start hiring staff. How do I hire staff? How do I interview? What are appropriate questions? How do I vet someone? How do I do a background check? How do I develop the business? Now I need to start building administration, and what aspects of administration am I going to need? And then all the way up to somebody who has a fully fledged business, but not knowing how to expand and grow and build new locations. So we cover all of that. It really is as in depth a course as I have ever seen in my career.
When should people start this course?
Well, the course can be started anytime. Once you buy it, it's yours, as well as any future published editions. They are yours. You bought the course. My intention is to provide um, a resource and information for people wanting to start their own business. So this isn't a nickel and dime of, oh, well, you purchased the first edition, now you have to repurchase the next one. No, we're not into that. It's yours. You paid for it. It's yours for a lifetime. But with that said, when should somebody start a business for themselves? That's really only something someone can answer for themselves. When would be the right time to start it? What I would say to those people is, would you rather start now and see what's evolved in 2 years? Or do you want to wait 2 years and look back and say, hey, this is how far I could have been already if I had started 2 years ago?
Do you see a lot of people get into starting their own business and probably like a year or two in, or maybe not even that long, realize, ooh, there's a lot here I don't know?
Oh, absolutely. I've heard stories from people I've encountered over the years. uh, who started. They don't have the right information. They weren't prepared. They didn't know where to look, and they ended up having to declare bankruptcy. I myself had to declare bankruptcy twice. Again, the system doesn't help you succeed until you succeed, and then they all want a piece of what you've accomplished. So, it really comes into um, understanding the standards, how to expand, the philosophy, the psychology, and recognizing, again, what is your motivation? What is your intention? Um, you know, like all things, we project manifestations of ourselves. And when things don't work out the way we wanted, we blame others, right? But it's always about you. You are the owner, you are the leader, you are the one who sets the tone. So if the business isn't growing, developing, or expanding, the first place you want to look is within yourself. And we spend a great deal of time in the book talking about understanding yourself, what is your motivation, what is your intention, and understanding the psychology of different aspects of business and the business world.
That's such an important piece. Most people just get an idea, like, I'm going to start a business today without maybe looking into the deeper meaning.
Oh, absolutely.
If someone had, and I know you touched on this a little bit ago, but if someone has already started their business and they're not seeing it go to the next level, maybe it's off the rails, will this workshop help them?
Oh, absolutely. Again, the very first part of the course focuses extensively on self-assessment, self-reflection. We have different assessments for your leadership type. Um, but then we also focus a lot on fundamental questions. What is your intention? Why are you doing this? If you're looking to make $1 billion, this is not the right course for you. If you're looking to provide a service because this is something you are passionate about, something you love to do, and you want to provide this to your community, that is the right intention. That is the right motivation. If you're just looking for a quick money maker or to make exorbitant amounts of money, this course is not for you. And we spend a lot of time making sure that your mindset is going to manifest the right intentions and the right philosophy, because it's not just about making the money. It's about providing a service to your fellow man and helping to build and reinforce and strengthen the community that you serve. And that's something I think the world has stepped away from, and hopefully, this course can begin a movement to start to bring that back.
I know you've helped so many people reassess and align their business goals. What is one key thing you see people starting their business that they kind of fail to do?
Well, it's definitely prepare. The enormity of starting your own business, I think, is lost on a lot of people until they actually get into it. It's like running your first marathon. You can train, but when you hit that 25th mile, that last mile just seems so far away. The world doesn't favor new businesses. Corporations don't want competition. And unless you have some sort of influence from your business, other businesses are just going to dismiss yours, from competitors to banks to customers. People want familiarity, they want predictability. It gives them a feeling of control. So when you're new and you're the underdog, you need time, you need patience, you need finances, you need consistency before people begin to develop that emotional connection to your business. And that takes money, resources, and time. So again, remember, nobody's going to help you. Everybody's going to be against you, and everything will take longer and cost more than you plan for. So preparation financially, psychologically, and as far as what your expectations are is crucial when starting your own business.
I knew a couple who took a year to start their own business because they went through a just really arduous journey getting all the information together and compiling that just so that they knew whether or not that they could move forward with their business. When people sign up for this workshop, usually how long does it take them to go through it?
I mean, everybody gets in what they put into it. We have all sorts of modalities. There's an interactive course. We have audiobooks, as well as some summary PowerPoints. You could think of them as like Cliff Notes. And then obviously the textbooks, each of which come with their own companion workbook to reinforce the knowledge. So there's a lot of ways, but the textbooks are going to obviously contain the most comprehensive amount of information. Um, so that would be my recommendation to focus on that.
So, what is one takeaway, or maybe a couple takeaways, that you want business leaders to know about your workshop?
Uh, this is a new time that we're in. It's a new era in connectivity. We despite all of the conflicts and issues going on in the world, one thing that technology has done is it has connected the world. And I think the more we see each other as one world is really, I think, something the younger generations are definitely bringing more to the forefront. So this is a new paradigm. It's a new philosophy. It's recognizing that there's enough to go around. There's enough for everyone to share. One corporation doesn't need to own 100% of whatever it is. It's a time to return to a service-based philosophy where we work to serve our communities and we recognize what we truly need. If your goal is to be Amazon and bring in, I think last year their revenue was over 600 billion and profited about 60 billion. If that's your goal, this is not the right course for you. But if you love or are passionate about something and you love, say, to bake, and you want to provide your community with that, with an amazing bakery, and live from the profit from there, that is enough for you and your family to live a comfortable life free from the daily grind of corporate greed. If that is where your mindset is, then this is the course for you.
Can you share with us the different parts of the course and books are separated in?
If you haven't realized already, I tend to get on my soapbox. My friends always tease me for being so verbose. Um, I had a lot to say. And every time I was writing, I found I was writing more and more and more. And so this went from what was supposed to be a little pamphlet to a book to a textbook to now two textbooks. So in the first textbook, it's called Business Fundamentals, and we focus on the um, four basic parts. Again, self assessments, making sure you are in the right space to start your own business, and then uh, getting a license for your business. How do you select a vision and a mission for your business? What are the right tax forms to use? How do you classify your business as a corporation, an LLC, so forth and so on? So we really give you all the basics and the fundamentals in that respect. The next textbook, Advanced Concepts, gets more into, okay, you now have your business, and how do we start to grow and develop? How do we build administration? How do we hire new staff? How do we vet staff? What kind of orientation and training do we give to staff? All of these things, and then eventually move into um, the more advanced, well-established business of what is your business sustainability? What is your corporate responsibility in giving back to the community? So all of these more advanced things are discussed in the second textbook.
So, where can people go to access the course and start today so they can get their business either going, launched, or in shape?
Absolutely. So our website is anotherwaybusiness.com. And we're working to try and build up resources so that eventually this website can be a one-stop shop, and you can provide all of the services. Because I know when I had my business, there were like 27 different vendors. Everybody had a little piece of the pie, as I said. And so we're trying to set things up so that you can get all of your business needs done in one place. Um, but you can access the course from our website. And like I said, once you purchase the course is yours for life.
Well, David, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Oh, I thank you, Marianne, so much for your kindness and for allowing me to speak to your audience.
Well, thank you, David. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your course, books, and workbooks, starting your own business. Make sure to visit anotherwaybusiness.com to sign up and get your business on track. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.